It is.
To enjoy the show.
Oh, please.
Oh, that was not Aretha Franklin by any means, but
Mm.
seeing her off. This is regarding. What are we regarding? No, we're not. We're not playing this bit anymore. This is the 365 Message Center show, and
That is
we're
correct.
rolling. I got it right. Hey, this is Daryl is a service. We have Phil in the chat room, Tonya and Erica, and then there's this guy
What's
from
up?
Nashville, Tennessee.
Woohoo! Nashville,
What's that?
Tennessee, the home of the Tomato Art Fest that was had a weekend ago. So if you want to come to the Tomato Art Fest, look it up. It's an awesome
Okay,
event.
okay, I'm clued in now to where you go for your inspiration. It's like a community notice board, isn't it? You go there and you go the home of, and then you talk about the weekend event that's coming up.
What? No,
Yeah, I'm
no,
on to
we
you
had a
now, bro.
Tomato Art Festival. I don't know what you're talking about. It was a great event. Oh, Daryl.
I'm gonna go
Culture,
looking
my
for it.
friend.
I know. Well, I'm not. I'm not cultured. I mean, look at me. Look at me. I've got like a polar fleece on,
Please
um,
no.
a hoodie from like 2015.
Daryl, let's go, sir.
Okay. Yep. Sorry to keep you waiting. Hello. Oh, Suzanne Hunt's in there too. Suzanne is from New Zealand, and
Fantastic.
she's just as crazy as I am at 5 a.m. Wowzers.
What? Wow.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, thank you for joining us, people in the live chat, and also later. The message center is it's got three major updates. So I open this up. I usually open it up on my mobile, and I'm checking things through, and I do that throughout the week. And you don't necessarily see the major updates at the top, but my goodness, check this out. Boom,
A lot.
three of them.
Yes.
You know, what are they going to do when they have five and we need to scroll? Are we going to see like a carousel there?
I think they'll be just smaller. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and I
Hopefully
think
they've taken care of that.
there'll be a rule. There must be a
That's right.
rule. You can only have three. There might be room for four in there. I don't know. I'm not really good with the
Hey,
space
you know
thing
what?
there.
That's someone should mark that down as a question that we should ask at if we were ever to do a live show at a major conference with Microsoft people. We should,
Which may or may not be listed at some point.
right?
Yeah, that's
We
cool.
should.
Yeah,
We should definitely.
yeah. I may write that down.
Okay.
So yeah, our message center, nice and full, and beginning with an interesting one around.
Definitely.
And this is not really looking very nice as I've blown things up.
Well,
Sorry about that. We're extending coverage of enhanced anti-spoofing protection to all Exchange Online organizations. Tell us
yeah.
about it,
So,
Dan.
well, this is great for everybody. I mean, before to get this enhanced anti-spoofing, you would have to sign up for an E5 license or the Advanced Threat Protection add-on. But now we're all of us are getting it. Yay! Do a little dance. So
Make
this
a
is
little
great
spam.
because, right,
You
uh,
started it.
as as you and I and everyone else knows, spam and spoofing. Let's kind of spoofing is a big deal, and being able to tell where an email is coming from, is it authentic, is key. And Microsoft kind of being on that forefront, trying to really head off a lot of that spoofing that's going on within the Office 365 environment. So, love it.
Yep, you made
We're all getting
another
it.
little pun there. Wasn't it Forefront was another Microsoft product for security?
You caught that.
Yes. Yeah. Look, the reason I like this is because not only do end users or us, even IT pros, people using the cloud in general, struggle
Hmm.
with keeping up to date with stuff, but there's always new and different attack vectors, things that
That's
are
right.
very cleverly disguised as phishing attacks. Um, I've been listening to a two-part podcast from the Better Show, and they've done a really good double series of spam and cybersecurity, and it makes me think of what I used to do as a postie a few years back, where we would just talk about risks and things in terms of safety, what might have happened on other rounds, injuries and things. Just by talking about it briefly during our daily meeting, we were more aware to look out for things. So I like that it's being talked about and needs to be talked about more in organisations, and this is helping us to take care of yet another threat.
Yes.
What I would say though is there are a few features like this which we would like to see come over from E5 and just be part of E in general, right?
Yeah, I was about to respond to Phil in the chat room with the example that we all kind of would love to have, because he asked about expect more security features to come over off of E5 and to everybody, and I think we all would like some of that to happen. So yes, I would agree.
Yeah, I'll just try and get our live chat going, because what I'd have to do, people, is we've got this scene and it's a unique window every time, so I'll get that all set out. But there is some interesting chat going on there. As we progress our way up there, our next one is this is another one from your soapbox, Dan. Revised versioning setting.
Soapbox. Oh.
Well,
yeah, we've talked about this a couple of times. Before the SharePoint conference in May, it was announced that Microsoft would turn on versioning for OneDrive for Business and SharePoint Online for everyone. You would not be able to turn it off, period. And the lowest you could go for version was 100. They would enforce that. We talked about it on the show, so go back and look. We won't rehash all of that, but there are some issues with that kind of forcing it down people's throats and not being able to turn it off. Microsoft listened, fantastic, love the new Microsoft, and so they announced, and we talked about it in the show previously, how they put a pause on it. Well, and then last week I think it was last week, we talked about that there was a blog post announcing all of this had been updated to say, okay, we're going to enable you to turn it off, and here's how. And then this week it's just, here's the official communication in the message center telling us that, hey, indeed, you're going to be able to turn this off, and giving you kind of that deadline of when you need to do it. So after September 30th, 2018, they're going to turn it on. So you need to, if you want to disable this forced versioning, then you need to turn it off before then.
Yeah, and they give you the PowerShell commands to do so. Yep, so that's good. Now it's interesting too if we go through to additional information. Good. I always like it when the links you click on them and they open up in another tab and they don't take you away from the message center.
Right.
Good show, people. This one, Stephen, isn't in the update? He says, we are giving you the option to turn it off, and if you don't opt out, then we're just we're going to go ahead and do it anyway. But we do strongly recommend that you do allow us to turn this versioning thing on. So they must have really big plans.
Well, and you said something about that, and I don't think it's big plans. I think there's two things here in play, Daryl. One is the automatic save. So if you're using Office in the monthly update cycle, you get that automatic save, and I think that plays into it. And they're basically, this is their warning saying, if you turn this off, don't call us and complain. Yeah. Right? It's going to auto-save, and you're going to lose. The second is the rollback feature in OneDrive. So, if you don't turn on versions, then you're not going to be able to roll back versions, right? You're not going to be able to say, I want to go back to 30 days or a week ago because someone hijacked all my files. So beware. If you're doing this, I would say there are cases to turn this off. And that's why we had several communications and conversations with Microsoft. And again, I'm glad they listened. But this is the case where you buyer beware. if you turn this off, you need to know what you're doing and why you're doing it. It needs to be communicated. Now, this doesn't turn off versioning. Don't get me wrong. Versions are on by default, right? When you create a SharePoint site, all the document libraries have 500 versions is the number that is set automatically. This is not turning off versions. You're going to be able to go in there and make them whatever you want them to be, or turn them off. So that's the kick.
It's just, to recap that, it's just setting the number of versions it's going to keep to a certain level. So if you've only set it to 10, it's going to bump it to that maximum level, or minimum level rather. But the key concern was that if you want it turned off for compliance reasons or whatever, then it would be turned on automatically for you. Now, I mean, it says revised versioning settings in OneDrive for Business and in Team sites for SharePoint Online. So you can run this command, but you've got to be mindful that you've got to do it on the libraries that you intend to opt out with. It's not just all libraries, as I see it. And does that mean that, because I know that the OneDrive for Business is its own SharePoint site collection and library. So you'd have to run this command for find.
No, this is at tenant. So this is the SBO tenant command. So you're doing it for your whole tenant.
Oh, really?
You're turning off the forced versioning.
Oh, okay.
Right. So it's not. The defaults are still there. Right. Like I said, when you create a SharePoint site, your library is still going to have that 500 versions setting turned on. You will just be able to turn that off if you want, if that's the desire for that library.
That's a lot better. I mean, I imagine this laborious task of going through and doing this for every library that you...
My understanding is that this is a keep it the way it is now. The way it currently happens, this is just turning it off so it keeps staying that way.
Okay, well, thank you, Microsoft, for making it one switch instead of a switch per library.
Right.
Very good.
Great. Yeah.
So that was another general availability major update. And this is another major update. There we go. I think we've done our 3, I believe. This one, Microsoft 365 Public Roadmap. So it was, or currently is until mid-September, the Office 365 roadmap. But mid-September, so that's mid-September is just before Ignite. It's going to be changed to the Microsoft 365 Public Roadmap. Now, is it just a name change? Nope.
It is not.
Changing the site. They're going to add some more to it, so Windows and a bit of Azure change and roadmap. Only Azure that's pertaining to the running of Office 365. I'd said Windows. Your EMS, I always get the Enterprise Mobility Security. Is that still what the acronym means? It had changed. Yeah. So it is getting more products, and it will get a facelift in terms of how to drive it. Now, if I go through to managing changes, right? So Ji Soo Han wrote a blog post about this. Let me put our faces across to the other side there. She covered off. I actually think this article was good to do. So much so that I created a short link with our funky little Go Message Center .show.
Funky, man.
I know, funky. About change resources. So not only does she talk about the changes in the roadmap, but also, we've got stuff on the Message Center and explaining what it is and how it works. And something that they haven't really gone into in much detail as far as I can see till this one. It goes through and says what is considered a major update. Changes to daily productivity, such as the inbox, meetings, delegation, sharing access. Good. What about changes to themes and web parts, or changes to the product branding? I know, how do you feel about that, Dan? Is it a major change or update when something changes in just the way that it looks?
Well, no. I like the first point there, causes end-user confusion. Oh, yes. Then if it causes end-user confusion, branding could also be, we're going to move the waffle over to the right. or we're going to move this over there. We're going to remove a link totally. Things like that, I think could cause confusion. Like, wait a minute, I've been clicking here and clicking here, right, to do my job, and now I can't because it's
now
gone.
it's a different color as well, and
right,
exactly.
right, yeah.
So yeah, I like that list. I'm glad they put that there. They go into a bit of detail around targeted release.
Mm-hmm.
There's been plenty of articles about that, but
That's right.
it's definitely cool. Like even seeing just that picture of how these updates make their way out to general availability and worldwide release. So they do test it within the feature team itself, the people who are developing the software. Then they push it out to the Office 365 team, and then all of Microsoft's. Then those of us who are on targeted release, so that could be your whole org, or it could be a select group of people, which is a great practice, and then into the worldwide release. So there are plenty of rings to, catch all that, That's action,
yes.
Load testing, general responses to it. That'd be great to see some of the reactions coming into stuff there. All the telemetry they have, hey, it's amazing. Pro Plus update model, just in case you didn't know. So I mean, I really like that. Look, there's a couple of responses there. Go check it out yourself. The article. I'm interested how Oleg K. I don't know if he's seen the new page, but he sort of has a few thoughts about a filter, in that he likes to be able to go to the roadmap and just turn it on and see what has changed in the last sort of month or so. So it makes it nice and easy. So
right.
I don't think we'll see what that's like until we
that's something that we've talked about. When we've had conversations with Microsoft about the roadmap, is it needs to be filterable really easily. I need to be able to say what's coming up for X and what's the time frame, and what was announced or done for X. This is not a new concept. So I think that's something that will either be incorporated initially, although we know about MVP stuff, right? Minimal viable product. So, but I would say I don't know officially if they're working on it, but they've heard it so much that hopefully they will incorporate that.
I didn't show one of the comments down there too, but Kevin Grossman brought up that while we can't really pinpoint on when I guess we could if we really put the effort in. when an update appears in your tenant, you can't say when it will happen exactly.
Right.
But when it has been delivered, when that trigger is off and the code changes, he reckons it would be great to have that pop up and say, tick in the message center, it is delivered. Now you don't have to keep checking daily to see when that change has arrived. Let's see. Maybe.
All right.
Chat. New feature, chat and call insights from Skype for Business online in My Analytics.
In My Analytics. That's the key here, because for those of you that haven't heard of My Analytics, it's the ability to see basically how you're working and how you're getting things done. Are you being productive and focused? And
how many steps have you stood up recently? No. How many Ks? Have you closed your rings?
Have you closed your rings?
Rude?
Apple people, right?
I
haven't closed my rings. I gotta go.
Yeah, gotta go. You gotta walk 5 minutes and close your rings. Like, jeez.
Right.
That means something completely different down here.
Well, okay. I don't know what you mean, but I can see how that can mean a different thing. But
back to My Analytics.
So My Analytics, being able to see how much time you spend reading email and how much time you spend in meetings, to be able to get a good idea as to how productive you can be, and then go to your boss or whoever and say, look, I'm in meetings this amount of time, and how can I be productive? So bringing this, though, if you were responding to emails while you were in a meeting, then My Analytics would count that as being No, I am fully attentive in all of my meetings.
Come on.
So
let's divert for a little bit though. I like how some companies have this rule where they say you'll only have a piece of paper and a pen when you come into this meeting. Or if they're a little bit lenient, they'll allow you to have like a tablet, and so you have it lied flat, so you can show that I'm taking notes,
yeah,
but the attention is on the person talking. What do you
yeah.
reckon?
So I'm all for that, to be honest, but I don't think it will last. Now there are times or types of meetings where you can say no devices. We need to talk this out, but having those notes later is, I think, a huge deal. But like you just said, having your tablet face down so everybody can see what you're doing. Well, that's great, but you're going to be hunkered over, writing. And how are you supposed to pay attention when you're hunkered over writing? You pay attention with your tablet like this. And if you want to write, then fine. And but then not everybody can see your tablet screen, right? So
I've
I
heard
don't
that.
think you can.
I've heard that Bill Gates sometimes brings in a Surface Studio as his writing device. That could be a rumor. You just
Nice.
imagine a meeting
I wish
like
I could
that.
do that.
It's sort of laid right flat, but it's this great big sort of writing desk thing. It's like,
Mhm.
yes,
Like a drafting desk kind of deal, like a
yes.
okay.
And he's ambidextrous, isn't he? So he can write with both hands.
So anyway, so going back onto the message, this is adding in your chat and the Skype for Business IM, so chat and meetings in there. So while you're in your meeting, answering email and chatting in instant message, then it's capturing all that and showing you as what'd you call it? Multitasking. That's right, multitasking. So,
which is something we don't really do. We multi-switch, or we switch task.
that's right.
But
And anybody that says
like,
they can do more than one thing well is either fooling themselves or lying. The way our minds work, and it doesn't matter what gender you are, it doesn't matter what background you are. Your focus is what's going to be done well. So if you're in a meeting and you're typing emails and you're not paying attention, you're not giving the full focus, so you're not really there. So multitasking isn't really a great thing. It may be seen as a badge of honor, but I don't see it as a great thing.
Well, I like what's going on in the chat there about we're all adults. Surely we can just allow this to happen and just pay attention to meetings. And I think when we're measuring this new metric in My Analytics, so you do see that multitasking going on and people concentrating on crafting an email, but it's easier to turn your attention back to the meeting or have your attention half there because you're not interacting with anyone in real time. But when it's chat, when it is tapping away on an IM, trying to get someone's attention, that is real time. That's also part of your brain watching those little dots as it's like,
well,
that message.
We're not totally. See, I don't. There are times when you're like, oh, we have a question as a group, or maybe the group could be big or small. The person who answers this is not in this meeting, so I'm going to IM them and ask them. That's. I think that's totally.
Let's just
great,
check with
right?
Roger.
But
is that code almost ready for delivery?
Right, stuff like that. Yeah, but we're talking about you're there. Maybe you think you shouldn't be there, so you're just kind of. I'm just going to work, and if you have a question for me, ask it. But I'm in the meeting. My boss sees me. I'm in the meeting, but I'm not in the meeting. So I would rather you, instead of, and I've sat next to people who are, really loud typers, especially on those Surface Pro keyboards that are elevated. So there's, space underneath. So when you
it's
hit it,
echo
it's
chamber,
like
isn't it?
Echo chamber.
And it flexes.
Yeah. So, people just pounding on that, and you're like, I can't even think about what this person's saying with you just pounding on that keyboard. I'd rather you just leave. Like, don't be in this room if you're not in the room, right? If mine's not in the room, don't be in the room. That's my opinion. But.
Yeah. Well, back to the analytics.
Anyway.
Now I'm looping you back in there. Yeah, I know. We had our turn. You
Look
took
what
a
you
turn around
did.
the garden, and I took a turn around mine. The metric is it only counts when you're chatting outside of the meeting. So if I fire up a chat between Dan and I, but Dan's not in the meeting, he's doing something else. That is considered multitasking, and it counts the meeting as a multitasking meeting. I think it counts that whole block of time, not just the time that you were typing and the keystrokes, because that would get crazy. But it's if the chat happens inside the Skype meeting, down the chat, as in we're dropping in messages that are resources, because of course that's what we do in chat with online meetings, don't we? We pay complete attention to the presenter and what's going on,
Right.
and the chat in the side is completely focused on the meeting. No, not so either. But anyway,
Anyway.
it's good that it captures most of that scenario. Now, the last thing I'd say about this is, it's developing something more for Skype for Business Online. But what's happening to Skype for Business Online again? And when is this coming to Microsoft
Skype for Business
Teams?
Online, Skype for Business, the client is going to be replaced with Teams.
Mm-hmm.
Skype for Business, the hardware is powering Teams now, right? So,
Nah, it's built from the ground up. It's different. Oh, is that a stern look, sir? Is that a stern look?
okay, Daryl.
All right. That's why it works better.
Well,
Sorry.
Yeah, except that the official word is that Skype for Business is not going away because it's powering Teams. So if that's not true, then we need somebody to tell us that. But maybe someone in chat knows.
Come on down.
But anyway, it's being replaced. So the point you're trying to make is we've got this new functionality. Are they still working on Skype for Business? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Well, it is said that it is going to come to Teams as well. It's going to be a different challenge about how to capture that, because I think what happens in Teams is multitasking in general.
Right.
At least it is kind of limited because we can't open things up in separate windows. But anyway, yeah, I think it's at least it's good that it's not just meetings and email. It is now another vector. Maybe they'll bring in Yammer and what's happening in that while you're in a meeting as well, or if you're trying to chat in multiple places, will that be multitasking as well? We will see.
Yeah, right.
You had another message.
Yeah, I had a message that you didn't. So there's a announcement. Did you got that more information?
Yeah, it was. Here we go.
This announcement is a new feature in Outlook. It's called Bill Payment Events in Outlook. So this is a service now only available in North America. Sorry, everybody, for now. But this feature will automatically set up a calendar event and remind you 2 days before a bill is due when you receive that bill. So this is, and there's a limited amount of bill providers supported right now. I'm sure they're going to expand that, but this is very similar and functions the way, if you book a flight and that flight information, airline information comes into your email, Outlook goes ahead and adds that flight information into your calendar, flight number, and then as well as the time, and puts that in your calendar. Very similar functionality here. So we've got flights and hotels previously available, package deliveries,
that's right.
Package.
FedEx.
So, yep. So bills is another. So if you keep scrolling down, there's actually a link right there. Stop. Supported senders for events. This is all of the supported senders for all of those types of events. And if you click on the one for bills, it'll show you it's mostly phone bills, utility bills, and credit card bills. So you'll see all of those listed that are supported now. Again, this is just North America, but I would assume this is going to be rolled out worldwide eventually.
Yeah, no, that's going to be a big job too, because it's all about doing field mapping and making sure that what comes in from a certain provider, they can map through to something that will look and make sense within Outlook, and then drop it into your calendar. So it's a big job.
So to get a link to that, we're not going to show it today, but get a link to that. Go to the recap meeting notes for this show. And
go.messagecentre.show/60
recap.
Yeah.
60 recap.
We'll drop it in the.
It's not there yet,
thing.
But it will be later today. It'll be there. So yes, go.messagecentre.show/60 recap.
Yeah, so it's my turn to get you back, eh?
Yeah.
You're like you're always going, Daryl, you can't even say our show name. Well, Anyway.
Anyway,
So last message. Azure Active Directory applications are moving to Office.com. So the apps that you are creating and publishing and making available to people at the moment within Azure, you have to go off to an Azure landing page. They are bringing them into the Office.com experience, so that when you go up here, the app launcher, and then you might go over to all apps. Scrolly. You'll see, actually I've scrolled this down a bit already. So here's all my usual Office apps and things that I've turned on my tenant. And some down here. Early on, when I was doing a lot of education work, I turned on some of these apps as well. But there'll be Azure apps that'll be added to this. So if you have created anything that you've published to your org, they can have it right there next to the rest of their Office productivity tools.
Yep.
This is good. Very good. I don't know if there's much more to say about that. Just that it's going to be there for convenience. And I guess to say that how will this affect me? There is nothing you need to do. Just let people know that they will find it in a different place.
Right, which
is still
goes back to
quite significant, right?
Is kind of significant that being able to find those items is pretty important, I say.
Yeah.
So I think you should take every message center message, whether Microsoft puts down there you should do something or not, and at least have a conversation with others to discuss, is this something that we need to communicate, because it may be. So
yeah. Well, that's the show. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us in the chat. Looks like it was quite lively. We'll enjoy going back through and checking out those messages. We will get another episode queued up and drop that into the corner. So for those of you who are watching the recording, we should have it under that little eye. And I also like to try and put it in the end show annotation. So I like to sort of forward drop that show so you can click on it.
There's also a link at the bottom of the recap as well.
Oh, there you go.
So
lots of different ways.
We're trying to hit you. Yeah, we're trying to hit you up so you know when to set a reminder for next week's meeting.
I know that the chat is about 30 seconds behind, but I want to ask this. How many of you have, you sign into YouTube, of course, well, that's how we can see your names, but are you subscribed to the next show? Do you hit that alert button and say, I'm subscribed to your channel, and I also want alerts to say when the Regarding 365 team schedule another live event. Do encourage you to do that. So that was our people today. This is Daryl and Dan tonight, or now.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm just thinking of this old outro that we used to have on a TV show.
Yes.
Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you again next week. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody.